You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the November 1st, 2023 meeting of the Michigan City Parks and Recreation Board. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Good evening and welcome to the November 1st Park Board meeting. If you could please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Shannon, can you call the roll, please?
Blackford.
Here.
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 Spurling. Here.
All right. Our October 18th minutes were prepared and presented in advance. If there are no corrections or additions, we have a motion to approve.
I would move to accept the minutes as printed.
Second it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
All right. Project updates. We have the Canada Park mural update.
Yes, I'm happy to report to the board that the mural's been completed. We had a ribbon cutting last Saturday, October 21st, with the artist who's shown on the front cover. The mural turned out beautiful. The neighbors are very happy. Even though it was raining, we had quite a few people from the neighborhood that came out. So it was a really nice event. And I'm happy to report that it's done.
Thank you, Shannon. Questions or comments?
It's beautiful. I saw it.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
Excellent. Any more to come? Murals?
Yes, so we're still continuing to work on art in our neighborhoods, and parks are the perfect place. So the next two that we're looking at for 2024 would be the skate park, the sides of the ramps that face Highway 12, possibly Gardena Park on the back of the restroom building overlooking the basketball courts, and then also most of you probably never seen this, but if you ride St. Sands Trail at the Waste Inc. site, there's a blower building. So they just painted that for us, that gray color to get it ready in case we want to do some murals along the trail. So
That's awesome.
those are the three we'll be concentrating on.
Good.
Fantastic. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All right. Do we have a motion? We have 3 items that were tabled at our last meeting. We'll need a motion to untable the 2024 golf fees, the zoo hours, and the youth basketball clinic.
Can we do them all in one motion?
To untable them, unless there's an objection, we can untable them all at the same time. Okay, seeing no
I would move that we take off the table of 2014 golf fees, form and contracts, and also item B, 2024 zoo hour fees, events and program and contracts, and item C, youth basketball clinic proposal.
Second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, so first up is the golf fees, forms, and contracts that we tabled on October 4th and 18th.
Thank you, Mr. Latchford. Apparently that was tabled due to some questions that needed to be answered by our golf manager, questions from the board. And if Mr. Neiman would come up and answer those questions, I appreciate it. I've spoken with Mr. Neiman. He is prepared.
Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Marty Neiman, Golf Course Manager.
Thanks for coming tonight.
Thank you very much.
I believe there were some questions in regard to, looked like a pricing oddity compared to weekend and weekdays.
Yeah, I had a question, excuse me. For the spring and fall before May, after October 1, which is obviously not a prime time.
Right.
But the proposed fee for 24 was the weekday $29 and weekend $35. Now, is that even for residents?
Basically, the rates for before prime time and after I mean, I was under the understanding people were not sure, like during the week it's $22 to walk and weekends 28. But then we have a special of $26 for after October 1st, but that includes cart, and that's why that price is the way it is. So I don't know if that's where the misunderstanding was with the pricing.
Well, I just wondered why weekdays it's, at that time of year, it's $29.
I think that was the error that I had on there. I sent you guys out a new fee packet. Did you guys get that? So
In the-
after you tabled the fees at the last meeting, Marty and I had a meeting and I had some of these prices incorrect.
No,
Yeah.
Had to go back and if the board remembers, some of the fees were changed in July, so I had to go back and make
Right.
sure everything was correct. And I think that was one of them, so.
Yeah. I mean, actually, I'm not asking for any changing in pricing from this year to next year, except for in the memberships, which was already approved. So really, I think everything is going to remain the same. It was just a misunderstanding of how it was put on the paper. One of them included a cart while the rest didn't, so it sounded like it was not fair, but it was just a misunderstanding.
okay. Sorry, yes, Chad, thank you.
Any other questions, comments on the 2024 golf fees, forms, or contracts?
I just have one. Would you guys consider lowering the price for the junior price? It's at $15.
It's actually $13 for juniors for the south course, and it's $7 for the north course.
Oh, this says,
That's on our,
is that a typo too?
no, that's a new one.
Oh, 13. Okay, because the LaPorte golf courses are $10. Of course, Briarleaf is always free for kids. Legacy is 15, but I don't know. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, or if you do get a lot of juniors, or
Not more on the north course, I
or
would
in the
say.
north.
And I definitely wouldn't want to lower it than 7.
Right. No.
Because you don't want, I've heard people suggest like it should be free for kids or $2, whatever, but you got to make it so the kids are accountable to come out and play golf and not just, hey, this is something to do today because I got a set of clubs and come out and, not really care about the course.
Yeah.
So at least charging something is going to make the kids respect it more. They have
Right.
to earn the money to come out and play.
Right.
So,
Okay.
and our rates are from 18 and under. So 17 or 18-year-old kid is not really still a bad fee for $13 to be able to walk a
Yeah.
golf course the entire day and play as many holes that they want to play.
Yeah, I'm good with that. Sorry, I was still looking at this $15 one, so that sounds
Okay.
good. Yeah.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Questions from the public? Questions from the public? All right, what's the pleasure of the board?
With that explanation, I would move that, we accept the proposed 2024 golf fees forms and contracts as printed in our new information pack. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you, Marty.
Next up is the zoo hours, fees, and events and programs. However, Jamie is here, but she's they're giving the check presentation, the annual $100,000. So she's tied up with that currently. So if there's no objection, we'll skip this and come back to it when she makes it to the meeting.
Mhm.
And I don't see any objection from the other board members. Okay. We will move on to youth basketball clinic proposal, which was tabled on October 18th.
Yes, so we have not had any success getting the gym scheduled yet, but we're still working on it. But because of the timing, I would ask the board to go ahead and approve this request. And if we can facilitate it through the school system, we'll go ahead and get it started. I don't want to wait 2 more weeks. And then I would report back to the board with the actual schedule list.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Questions or comments from the board?
We're talking about the drop-in.
Yes.
Well, the questions I have should just answer it.
All right, questions from the public? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve the youth basketball clinic proposal?
I would move that we approve the youth basketball clinic proposal.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? The motion carries.
And I just saw a big check walk in, so Jamie's here. We can go back to the 2024 Zoo Hours fees, events, programs, and contracts that we tabled on October 18th. Any questions or comments from the board? I believe since then, we've been provided some revenue projections and historical revenue to help us make a decision on these fees. Questions or comments? Questions from the public? See none, do we have a motion to approve the 2024 Zoo Hours fees, events, programs, and contracts?
I would move that we approve the 2024 annual zoo hours, fees, events, programs, and contracts.
Second,
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, any other tabled business or old business that we need to attend to?
No, sir.
Okay, new business. We have the EVP Academy's 2024 MOU for the beach volleyball.
Yes, unfortunately, Ross could not be here tonight. But this is the same MOU we've done in many years. It has been reviewed and approved by Attorney Nuremberg. And again, it's 10% of, he pays the first term and 10% of what he takes into the clinic fees. This year, that amount was $1,260 paid to us.
Thank you, Shannon. Questions or comments from the board?
Is that fee good? Does that cover? Is it too much? Is it, because I know we like having them down there. From a maintenance perspective, right? You said that covers the maintenance fees.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
the only maintenance that we have to do for this is the sanitation
Mhm.
of the area. But as far as putting the nets and the poles up and down, Ross does
Yeah.
all of that. He has good participation. This is pretty close to what he did last year. I think last year it was $12.90 is what we brought.
Mhm.
I think it's a fair
Yeah.
fee.
Okay.
Like, we sanitize the beach all the time anyway, but
Mhm.
this has to be scheduled around his events.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm. Mhm.
We can't just wait and come back to that a week later.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think it's fair.
Thank you, Shannon.
Perhaps we could approach Mr. Balling about maybe a drop-in clinic for volleyball, something to expose kids to it. So you don't have to make a big investment to join a league. You could, this drop-in idea is a great idea, I think, and approach him about providing that. And the kids pay their $5 or something like that, right? For the drop-in clinic. So
Mhm.
approach him. Maybe we get kids started, interested without a big investment.
It's a great idea.
Yeah.
Last time Mr. Bowling was here, I think he was trying to drum up ways to increase participation, and this certainly would be one. Any other questions or comments from the board? Questions from the public? Seeing none, do we have a motion to approve the EVP Academy's 2024 MOU?
I would move we accept the EVP academic 2024 memorandum of understanding.
Second,
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, now we have the supplemental agreement for the number 2 to rebid the Water Tower Park renovation project.
Yeah, so in order to rebid the project, we had to do a little bit of design work. We had to remove some items from the project. We had to get those to the grantor to make sure that they approved of those. And then, of course, the whole bid packet has to be revised. So this supplemental contract is for $3,600 to do all that additional work for rebid. The only thing I want to correct in here, it said the project has to be substantially complete by June 15th of 2024, and it does not. So we've got another 6 months beyond that easily. But I would recommend that the board approve this. That still puts them design and engineering at 7.1% of the total project budget, which is fairly low compared to most of the projects we've done in the last 5 years. We're coming in between 8 and 12%. I still think it's a good value, and it has to be done in order to rebid and use our grant money.
Thank you, Shannon.
You're welcome.
Questions or comments from the board?
Shannon, what was that date?
June 15th of 2024.
And you said that we're gonna change it to what, or keep that date?
No, we've got to the end of the next year. To,
Oh, okay.
project.
Thank you.
I just want to know we're not under that tight of a timeline.
So do you want our motion to include editing that to December 31st, 2024?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from the board? Shannon, I have one. Obviously, you went through all the bids, and I assume that you were able to at least get some idea of why we were over and removed the pieces that caused us to be over. Otherwise, we wouldn't be at this point. Is that a correct assumption?
Correct. That's value engineering. Try to engineer things out of the project to get it within your budget, which has been the case lately for pretty much everything we're working on.
All right. Well, thank you. And thanks for that extra effort to make sure we get this project complete. Questions from the public? All right, seeing none, do we have a motion to approve the Jones Petrie Ravinsky Supplemental Agreement number 2 with the correction of the date to December 31st, 2024?
I would make that motion.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, now we have the Park Department's third quarter report.
Yes, that was included in your packet. Mr. Lecter, thank you for pointing out a few errors that have been corrected. And I'll send you out the new report tomorrow. But I've also added variance percentage columns to every table to make them all consistent throughout the report. I think it's easier to spot differences really quickly when you're looking at the percentages. So that was added, and that was it. There was 2 corrections made.
Very good, thank you. And thanks for the early addition that was emailed to us. That was very helpful. Questions or comments from the board?
I had a question on, it's page 20 of 52 about the parking. It says in the right-hand column comments, I'm assuming that the 2022, instead of open, those were 37 days that we collected, right?
30 days that we
I
collected
mean, the park's always open.
in the third quarter, correct? The
Right.
parking operations.
Right, okay, great, all right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments? My only comment is that these reports continue just to get better and better, in my opinion. Things that Shannon just mentioned about adding some variance analysis just to make review quicker, easier, a little better, easier to understand. But want to thank everyone for the time and effort that goes into this. It's a great reference document too, for when looking back and trying to determine what we did or why we did something. There are no other questions or comments from the board. Questions from the public? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve the Park Department 2023 third quarter report?
I would move we accept the third quarter report for 2023, July 1 through September 30.
Second it?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right. Item B is approval of the bid documents for the 2024 to 2026 Patriot Park concession lease.
Yes. I did want to mention that Attorney Nuremberg pointed out that we could use an alternate procedure, which you got a cover letter explaining that lets us avoid having to get 2 appraisals, which are very expensive. And there's really no comparative properties out there to get a good appraisal. So using the statute, we're able to skip that step. In essence, it's the same bid packet that we put out 3 years ago, and it's for a 3-year term. We did use the last appraisals to recommend some annual or monthly rental fees. So those are outlined. As the board remembers, during COVID, we did give the concessionaire a really good rental price, but it was really difficult times, and we had reached out to 15 different concession vendors, received 0 bids, put it back out a second time, got 1 bidder. So we kind of bargained the price down just to have the service out there. So this year, I'm hoping that we have a lot of interested parties and it's a little more competitive.
Thank you for that background color, Shannon. It's very helpful. Questions or comments from the board? I just want to comment, great call out on using that 36-112. Thank you very much. Just helps expedite things and keep our costs down. I appreciate that. And Shannon, any indication from our current or the most recently expired vendor, if they have an interest in renewing or
I'm
bidding?
not sure. We had a meeting set up about a week ago, and she was ill, so we had to reschedule it for, I can't remember, it's the end of this week or the beginning of next week. We always do a year-end wrap-up meeting with all of our lease tenants. So I guess we'll find out at that meeting if she does have any interest. But again, I have a list of around 15 different area food vendors that we'll put the bids out to. And then, of course, it's open to anyone else as well.
Thank you. And this is advertised in the paper and our website?
Correct.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Questions from the public? See none, we have a motion to approve the bid documents for the 2024 to 26 Patriot Park concession lease.
I would move that we, excuse me, accept the bid documents for 2024 to 2026 for the concession at Patriot Park.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Now we have approval of the annual open accounts.
So every year, the Parks Board is required to approve our open accounts, and what an open account is, employees may be assigned to, say, a Menards account. They're allowed to go in there and sign for purchase. So under our purchase policy, the board needs to look at our open accounts every year and approve those. So that's what I'm asking for tonight.
Yeah.
Thank you, Shannon. Questions or comments from the board? Shannon, so how do they know that it's a park department employee, an employee that may or may not be authorized to charge at these?
Each of these accounts has an account holder list. So if an employee retires, quits, is terminated, then our budget manager will reach out to them immediately as part of the separation project process to remove them from any open accounts. So she keeps a list of all of these and audits them quite frequently.
Is she the same person then that reviews the signed charge slips to make sure that it matches our open?
So
That only authorized people are.
the directors have to sign off on their employee signatures, and then they turn those in, the invoices into the person that keeps this list.
Very good.
There's 2 check.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Actually, there's a third, because I'm a superintendent, must you approve all of that before it's paid.
Very good. Thank you. Questions or comments from the board? Questions from the public? All right. We have a motion to approve the open accounts for 2024.
I would move that we accept approve the annual open accounts as listed in our packet.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, now we have the Halloween event and costume exchange proposal.
And this is a proposal for next year. However, we wanted the board's approval to begin now because it's right after Halloween. People will be getting rid of their Halloween costumes. So what we'd like to do is very similar to our athletic equipment exchange program. You drop your costumes off here. We'll have an event at Memorial Hall a couple of weeks before Halloween of next year, and parents and kids can come in, choose a costume that fits, free of charge. We'll have some games, probably like pumpkin painting, just an outreach event. And this kind of started because I was cleaning my basement. I mentioned to Kayla that I have every costume that my grandsons have had since birth. And they are now going on 12 and 13. And so this idea popped up and she's like, well, I'm the kind of parent that right after Halloween, I take it to Goodwill. There's gotta be other people out there. We're like, well, this could be a fun outreach event, and costumes are extremely expensive. So you have, a couple, 3, 4 kids. This would be a great way to get them in a costume free of charge.
Thank you,
Very
Shannon.
cool. I like that. Mhm.
Questions, comments?
Great idea.
Agreed.
And when will you start collecting the costumes?
You approve this tonight. She's going to start reaching out to people tomorrow. She's also going to reach out to some of the stores, Walmart, Walgreens, places like that, where they may want to get rid of this older stock.
Yeah, good idea.
So yeah, she'll be right on it.
Yeah, cool.
She's super creative and she's trying really hard to get the face of the park department out there.
That's awesome.
After COVID. So
Right.
I appreciate her creativity and ideas and helping me clean out my basement.
This is a great value-added idea. Any other questions or comments from the board? Questions from the public? All right, what's the board's pleasure?
I would hope that we approve the 2024 Halloween event and costume exchange.
Second it?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Good luck with that and great idea. Next up is the Adult Basketball League registration packet and fees.
Thank you, Mr. Latchford.
You're welcome.
As we all know, we're determined to begin some programs that we have not had in years. Recreation programs. Mr. Krasinski, our youth baseball director, has come to me and asked if he could propose an adult basketball league. So I've created a few items in your packet for you to review. This would be held at Barker Middle School Gymnasium. The Michigan City area schools have already agreed to our usage of this gym on Sundays. I ask you to review and approve this proposal. I strongly recommend that we offer adult basketball this winter season. If the board does approve, the Michigan City area schools will provide us with a contract. And I did ask for that contract in advance so you could review it, but I did not hear back from them, but possibly you are familiar with that contract.
Thank you, Ed. Questions or comments from the board?
Well, having coached basketball for a number of years, both male and female, and of course would be all for this program. The questions I have, I suppose, would have nothing to do with starting the program. Some of the things that I went through here, we could talk about with Mr. Krasinski and you as far as how to, I'm sure he knows about the tournament and the prizes and t-shirts, quality tees, and maybe cut down on the cost of those awards a little bit. I don't see us cutting down for referees or scorekeeper or janitorial fees, supervisors, and just a couple other things, but that has to do with, we're gonna follow the IHSA rule book and explain to people the difference between if they get a technical and they get the real bad one, or that's something we can cover later on, put in the rules.
That's great. I went over the rules myself, and there were a few items I was not familiar with, so I was hoping we could sit down.
Well, like rules 9 and 10 in the rule.
We could go on.
I don't want to get technical, but I know the rule 9 and 10, and we need to cover that, I think, in the rule here.
I
If,
see.
if indeed we're going to follow the IHSA.
I think it says we are in here.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that needs to be pointed out because some of the guys, and I'm going to tell you, I've been associated with that for a long time. Some of those guys think it's the NBA playoff, and if they win, they're going to get $10 million and a big diamond ring.
Yeah.
That isn't it at all. I think Rule 9 and 10 needs to be emphasized.
Okay. Mhm.
But that said, we can talk about that later.
Okay. Good point.
It's more important than all of that. So let's bragging right.
You're right, and I'll fight you for it.
This is way more important than the NBA
Yeah.
championship and all of that. This is bragging right.
Yeah, I've been there, Brian. I know what you're saying.
So I know when this program used to run through the park department, they would always have a meeting with all of the team captains, like a couple of weeks or a week in advance, go over all of the rules. And then when the games would start that first week, they would bring the teams together and go over some of those
That's good.
rules before they would tip it off. So I'm sure Kerry K is all over this. He understands how this all works. He'll be good.
Yeah. I think it's a great idea. I hope it flies.
I did speak to Mr. Shin a little bit about pricing. He was worried that the program wouldn't be self-sustaining. So he took some measures to try to hold down the cost by asking the Michigan City area schools to waive the janitorial fees, which they won't, which they never have, but it was worth an ask. And even though this program is projected to run at a roughly $1,500 deficit, I mean, that's what we should do as a park department, though, is offer recreational opportunities. And if it's $1,500, that's something we should expect to bear that cost in exchange for providing opportunities for people to participate in leagues.
I would agree.
Yeah, me too.
I think just getting it off the ground is worth $1,500.
Absolutely. Agreed.
I mean, goal of 6 teams, realistic, maybe we'll get 8.
Mhm.
Sure make it easier to draw up a record with 8.
All right. Any other questions or comments? Questions from the public? Seeing none, do we have a motion to approve the adult basketball league and registration fees and packet?
I would move that we accept the adult proposal for the adult basketball registration and the packet and fees that are included.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Now we have the overhead door of Northwest Indiana agreement for golf course garage doors.
Thank you, Mr. Lashford.
You're welcome.
2 qualified vendors have been notified of the overhead door replacement project. Written specifications were provided to each company along with the opportunity to view the site. Overhead Door Company of Northwest Indiana was selected after careful review by our Green Superintendent Michael Moore and myself. In your packet is the proposed agreement reviewed by our attorney Laura Nurnberg, the written specifications, and a copy of the selected contractor's quote. I ask that you please review and approve this agreement. I recommend we proceed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shin. And this is just to add some clarity from previous meetings. This is the money that was left over from the roofing at the cart shed, and we went to the council and got their approval.
Correct.
To use the leftover money to make further improvements on those buildings.
That's correct.
All right, thank you. Questions or comments from the board? Seeing and hearing none, questions from the public? Seeing none, we have a motion to approve the agreement for golf course doors with Northwest with Overhead Door Company of Northwest Indiana.
I would move we accept that agreement.
Second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Well done, Mr. Shin.
Well, thank you.
Millennial Plaza repair options.
Thank you, Mr. Latchford.
You're welcome.
As we all know, Millennium Plasma has a fountain that was dedicated in 2000, the year 2000. And since its dedication and its use in those years, it has not quite been maintained properly. In this case, we have been discussing the repair of this fountain and find that a Band-Aid repair will not do. There's been some talk about replacing the pump. It's similar to replacing an appliance. However, replacing the pump without replacing and correcting the spalling concrete problem within the fountain itself will just cause the pump to go down again. So the mayor was asked about his thoughts on repairing the fountain, and he seemed to think that it would be a good idea to ask the board what the park board's thoughts are. And we should make a decision in some respect, keeping in mind three options. We can repair the fountain in its entirety at a large expense. We could repurpose the fountain with artwork, or we could eliminate the fountain altogether, which would give more room for the events in the park. And those are the options. Everybody is interested to hear the park board's thoughts on this, and we'll see in what direction we will proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Shin. Comments or questions from the board?
Do you have any like ballpark figures of number one, what it would cost to bring it up to speed, and number two, kind of what it has cost us? Or it just varies probably?
That would vary. I can tell you that Mr. Volz and I contacted various vendors that supply the equipment, electrical companies that would work on the electric and the electronics, and concrete companies that would repair the concrete. And it comes to about $300,000 without the general contractor management fee. So it would probably be more.
Wow.
That's raw cost.
Wow.
And the cost of maintaining in the past does vary because of the various parts of the equipment that have failed.
Mhm. Yeah, it's a lot. Plus that area has become popular with the concerts and, you know, that's really been a great area. I would assume he could probably use the room down there too, right?
That's
For all of
one
his
option.
events. Yeah. I mean, I think if that fountain was more visible, like if it was like right when you came over the bridge in the park, you know, where it's something that people look forward to seeing. I don't know how many people actually kind of see the fountain. I mean, did we have it running when it was working? Did it run every day, or how often would that run?
It ran every day.
It ran every day, yeah. Yeah.
Any idea of any ideas of, it's a lot of money to fix that fountain. I feel that, it was put in 2000 and 7 years later, it's been another 40,000. So certainly, what'd you say, $300,000?
That would be raw cost of labor and materials.
Has there been any suggestions as to what else we could do with it? Fill it in and plant flowers, or I don't know what else.
There have been suggestions of planting tree
Landscaping.
in there, landscaping it, artwork. And if people are bound and determined to have water flowing because it is near Trail Creek, Chicago has a nice system. Mr. Volz has brought this to my attention of water cannons that would be far less expensive, and water would just fire from one end of Trail Creek to the other and fire on a timed rate so the boats wouldn't be in the way of that. And that's one alternative that would be able to use untreated water
So in the creek, you're saying this
from
happens?
one end of from one edge of the creek to the other.
Oh, that's cool.
Right, correct.
There's a
That sounds really cool.
natural resources.
Yeah. That sounds really cool.
So there are a lot of ideas out there, but the main ideas were to fix it in its entirety, abandon it and replace it with a dance area or whatever to have the festivities down there, or repurpose it with artwork or plantings.
Mhm.
I visited the fountain at Ames Field, and it's far less fantastic as ours. And people have mentioned that might just be not good enough
The one, what's not good enough?
at Ames Field.
Yeah.
It just trickles. It's not a fantastic fountain,
Yeah.
and it may be a little degrading to the city to
Mhm.
construct something like that after it was such a nice fountain.
Mhm. Yeah, I would say if we're gonna spend 300,000 plus, I'd rather see it be put in a more visible spot, in the park, than to have it kind of tucked down there. I think
Now you're talking about within Millennium Park or in
Washington Park.
Washington Park? Now
I'm
that
just
would,
saying, if we're gonna spend that kind of money, I'd rather enhance something that everyone can see like all the time, Just a thought,
oh yeah,
just a thought. Yeah.
that would be considerably more because we currently have a pump house.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't know all the logistics of it, but just in general, I would think if we were going to spend that kind of money, then maybe we should look at doing something completely different. If we have $300,000 to spend on our beach and park down there, maybe we need to look at doing something completely different, not even a
Mhm.
fountain. So I'm just
That's a
saying
good
that kind of
point.
money, just let's look at how we would really want to spend that,
Because I would also add to the cost of the repair in its entirety and the overall cost of a contractor taking the project on. Speaking with the superintendent of parks in LaPorte, when they construct a facility, they also have funding for the maintenance in years in the future. So
Mhm. Yeah.
there's an additional cost.
Yeah.
It does take a lot of maintenance.
Yeah. I mean, even something, I'm just throwing it out there, like if we had water slides or something that people could do if it wasn't like a good beach day, there'd still be like an attraction to bring
Mhm.
people down there. A fountain, you look at it, but you can't really do anything, So anyway, just some thoughts.
Good thoughts.
Yeah.
I think the fountain is very nice looking. I'd hate to see it disappear, but I can't see spending $300,000 and come back in 5 or 6 years and spend another 100,000. But I hate to see the fountain torn down and disassembled. But
It's
Other
a tough
than-
call.
landscaping perhaps. And I don't know, if you've ever been down there, there's a lot of bricks that maybe Shannon has a number of people who have paid and have a brick in mom and dad.
Mhm.
What would happen to those?
Well, maybe we could repurpose those in some way.
The bricks could remain in the plaza.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Are you saying they're part of the?
I'd hate to see them tear it up, but I agree with you, Shannon. They're there and they can stay.
Yeah.
What about that big circle if we take the fountain off?
So more bricks.
There you go. Brick dance floor.
I'd rather see us put more water features in the splash pad than put money into this fountain.
Oh,
Myself.
No, I can't see $300,000.
That's what I'm saying. Something that would be that would be gratifying for our guest.
We
Yeah.
do have a nice splash pad already.
I think we can,
Ask Jamie, could use it at the zoo.
At 300,000.
yeah, I think our needs and our wants for the money are great, and that's what makes this a difficult decision, but a non-functioning fountain
Yep.
is not, we shouldn't allow that to continue much further. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's just bad look for the city.
Mhm.
So I agree with the more water features, the splash pad. Everyone's ideas here are great. It's just, I don't know, removing a fountain there too. I think it's visible when you come over when I drive, when it's working. I
Yeah.
do think it adds an attraction. It can be a draw. It looks good from the water when you're in the boat. I think when you're there, it's a nice feature. Granted, the weight of the cost of that feature could be prohibitive, but that's, we've been asked to make a recommendation that the mayor can take to the city council. So, maybe what we need to do is make a recommendation that, we get a rather than 300,000, allocate some funds to actually come up with a quote to repair it. And that way, at least we know what that is, and to maintain it going forward. Then we'll know what we're faced with in terms of 300,000, 200,000, 500,000. That's okay. Do we want to allocate those sort of funds to the project? Kind of the same discussion we're having right now, but with having an exact, or at least a close approximation of what that might cost. Without that, because 300 might have turned into higher, might be lower. I respect, your ability to estimate the cost, but when was that done? I mean, could the 300? What's your plus and minus of that? Could be 10%, 20%.
I would say there would be no minus, but I would say that it could be up to 400,000 to repair it. And that's raw cost. Like I said, that's not a general contractor taking it on, because we can't subdivide the project and just hire an electrician to do the electrical, and
Sure.
as you know. So it could be up to $500,000. But I would be glad to find an engineer to have a more accurate price for you to decide easier.
That may be, in my mind, I like dealing with exacts, but that doesn't make my approach correct by any stretch. So I'd be open to the,
So what is that process then? I mean, we see with all of our other projects that we do, we'd have to hire someone to do that.
Mhm.
How much is that going to cost? Put it out for bid. What are our costs involved of figuring out what the cost of it is?
I think that would be, you would hire, at least what we've done in the past, I've hired a company like Haas and Associates, just choosing one, and they would come in and do an analysis
Mhm.
and say, okay, bring us a proposal. Here's what it might cost.
Yeah.
That costs, I'm guessing, $5,000 to $7,000 to have that done, just off the top of my head,
At least that.
for a complete analysis to repair the fountain. Unless these numbers scare everyone away and we just want to jettison the fountain and move on. But that's board's decision.
We don't have the $300,000 anyway. We would need the city's help, wouldn't we? With
Yeah.
the,
You need a direct appropriation,
right, yeah.
more than likely, we're going to go.
So if I can make a comment,
Please.
I think it would be wise to go to the city council and ask them to fund all of it, meaning an assessment, current structure, estimated construction cost to bring it back to life. What's it gonna cost if we demo it? And if we decide to rehab it? So then you have 3 clear pictures and costs moving forward. Because you could decide, okay, we're not gonna spend the money to repair this. Well, now you're going right into the next mode. Well, what's this one gonna cost? Let's just do it all up front.
That's a good idea.
Okay.
Any questions from the public at this point too? We want to make sure we include everyone in the conversation. Okay.
Pat, have you had to work on this yourself, or is it do we usually have to hire this out.
Good evening and welcome.
Sorry to bring you up, Pat. You look pretty comfortable there.
Patrick Bowles, maintenance director. It's been a mix depending on the situation. The last year it was operating, we were kind of limping it along. We were having electronic issues, we were having some float issues. It went down 2 weeks early. We just shut it down a little early for that year. And we went to start it back up this year. The pump immediately blew. So we know we have an expense in the pump. Whatever the original problem is, we still don't know yet because we gotta have the pump running to troubleshoot what the other problem was. There was almost daily maintenance as it was running because the filter system is bypassed. So we had a crew down there cleaning, scrubbing, dyeing the water, because again, not filtering it, it would get algae so quick. So
So you
So
guys
there
have
was-
man
there was
hours
almost a-
every day.
there was some form of maintenance on our end almost daily
Yeah,
on the days that it ran.
okay. Thanks.
Thank you, Pat. Shannon, if I may ask, if we did go to the council asking for appropriation to look into either repair, removal, or alternatives for a fountain there. You have a recommendation for an amount to do that analysis?
Gonna do all three. I think it'd probably be wise if the board approves this tonight to seek proposals from a couple different firms. Because I honestly couldn't give you a number. This is not the project similar to anything I've ever worked on. So maybe we seek a couple different proposals. That'll give us a good cost estimate. We ask for a little bit extra and then take that to the council.
We asked for proposals to give us their opinion of what it would cost
So yes.
of their analysis.
Engineering firm and say,
Right.
hey, this is what we're looking at. We want these three cost estimates,
Yeah.
an assessment on doing each of the three. They'll give you a proposal. And legally, you only have to get one proposal, so that's fine. We can pick one and choose a firm.
But they'll give us a proposal for their assessment, you're saying? Like,
For
it's gonna
repairing
cost you
it,
$7,000 to figure this out? Okay, so we can get a proposal for the proposal.
Before we go to the council, because I don't want
Yeah.
to say, okay, it's gonna be 10,000, we ask for 10 and it comes back. And it's, no, it's gonna cost. 20.
Yeah, I
Go
think,
back to the council.
I think that sounds like a good plan. I didn't know you could do that. So you can ask them, how much is it gonna cost us for you to tell us how much it's gonna cost to fix, destroy, or, okay. Yeah, I think that sounds good.
Just thinking it'd be simple, like I said, and I agree, demolish, repair, replace, get those three estimates and then see what we're looking at. So.
Pat, you don't have to come up here, but there are 10 points listed here. For example, the main cannons, the solenoids, they replace the pump. Is there a pump house? So would that have to be repaired or just the pump? I mean, is that something that would also have to be considered, that the top 3 points that were emphasized? I mean, it looks like that's it.
Welcome
Important
back.
part of the function.
There would be options there. Some of the solenoids, if we decided not to do the animation, there's a few small things there that could be cut. The pump house itself has no ventilation, and I
Yeah.
think that is part of the problem. The corrosion in there is ridiculous. All the electric panels, everything is corroded.
Thank you. So that would be 10 points that are emphasized here. I like this idea of 3 things. Fix, to repair,
So I
demolish,
think then
find another use for it.
we table this then to engage a firm to allow them to give us a quote to help us determine what to do with the fountain down there as we discuss repair, remove, replace.
I don't think you need to table this request, because your motion would be to instruct the superintendent to get a proposal to prepare estimates for the 3 phases. And then allow us to take that to the mayor and the council. But you're not really deciding on anything, yes. Does that sound right, Maura? It does. There's like nothing to vote on, this is just a report. That makes the most sense.
Mhm.
So I just have to make sure that I'm clear that we have the funds available to engage an engineering firm. We don't need city council to develop the plan, but that's not right, right? We need,
No, we do need.
we need city council. Okay,
So we would seek proposals, take those to the mayor, select one, and then ask the mayor if he approves to go to the city council with that proposal and fund that part.
okay. So the motion would be, as Shannon mentioned, motion to instruct the superintendent to seek those proposals for the fountain repair, removal, or some alternative.
So it's repair, demolish, or alternative.
Repair, remove, replace, the alternative. Yep.
That's it then.
I believe that's it. If you leave something out, maybe someone can help us construct it and we'll add it so we get it right.
Perhaps Laura. So we need a motion then to direct our superintendent to get 3 bids, 3 different.
Do you want me to make the motion?
3 proposals.
Not just to seek a proposal.
A proposal.
Oh, it would all be one proposal.
We're going to select one entity to help us determine, repair, remove, replace.
Beach. One proposal to figure out how much it costs to demolish, repair, and
Basically, maybe just slim the motion down to instruct the superintendent to engage an engineering firm to help us evaluate the millennial fountain situation.
so moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Good luck, yeah.
Good move, Tim.
Motion carries.
All right, we have some resolutions now, number 1020, 1021, and 1022. As usual, the preambles on these are all the same, so I'll read the first one and then just read the guts of the others. So resolution number 1020, whereas the superintendent of the Department of Parks and Recreation has reported that a certain transfer funds are necessary within the budget of the Michigan City Department of Parks and Recreation because of unanticipated expenses from various accounts, which accounts do not have sufficient funds available for disbursement of said expenses. And whereas funds are available for said expenses in various other accounts, which are not expected to be paid from said accounts during the remainder of the budget year. And whereas the Michigan City Parks and Recreation Board has determined that said expenses are necessary and that an account transfer should be made in order to meet said expenses. Now, therefore, be resolved that the following transfer be made from the following named accounts to the following named accounts for purposes stated therein. So that's the preamble. That's the same on all these 3. So resolution 1020 is decrease fund 2204-506 senior center fund electric 9,000, increase fund 2204-506 senior center other supplies 9,000. Unless there are questions or comments, of a motion to approve resolution 1020.
To move to support 1020 resolution.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Resolution 1021, decrease fund 2204-503 recreation fund seasonal wages 4,000, increase fund 2204-503 recreational fund contractual $4,000. Unless there are questions or comments, I have a motion to approve resolution number 1021.
Move to approve resolution 1021.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Resolution 1022, decrease fund 2508 000 golf fund seasonal wages 7,000, increase fund 2508 000 golf fund electric 5,000, water 1,000, sewer 1,000. Unless there are questions or comments, we have a motion to approve resolution 1022.
Move to accept resolution 1022.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, we have one other item that I'm aware of here that wasn't on our agenda, just came up today in regard to the senior center flooring and office relocation project. Mr. Shen.
Thank you, Mr. Latchford, for adding that to the agenda items. Regarding the senior center flooring and office relocation project, I was notified Tuesday by the general contractor, Holiday Construction, that the existing HVA system will not be effective without modifications after the completion of this project. Architect Jerry Fedorchik reviewed the mechanics of the system and agrees that the modifications should be implemented. Please review the attached recommendation from Mr. Fedorchik. And I personally agree with the modification as proposed because a facility with inadequate HVAC system will reduce the value of the facility. And note that Holiday Construction does charge a nominal fee for managing the subcontractors to complete the work, which could be done in about 7 working days. The 2 subcontractors are Bloomfield, who does the mechanics and the modification of the system, and a controls company who does the thermostat work.
Thank you, Mr. Shin. And this was in front of us tonight rather than wait 2 weeks because they're on site working on the project now. So I want to.
Oh, next floor.
Yeah, they're there. I drove by it and you can already just remove all those offices. You could see all the way through the building. It looks.
Can't wait to see it.
You would like it.
Yeah, cool.
Questions or comments from the board?
I don't know anything about this mechanical stuff, but I just, what is the difference between the good comfort and the best comfort? Like I
Oh,
was saying, if good comfort means, well, I know that. If good comfort means their offices are going to be 80 degrees instead of 90s, then that's not good.
that's a
So-
good question, Diane. We did not get into option 1 because that was out of the question. We only have 20,000 in contingency
Hmm,
funding.
okay.
But this type of system is very complicated and it costs a lot of money. So what we got in a mechanical system a few years after it was built, it's apparently a new system. We got a very good system. And according to our director, the elderly in the senior center never complain about the temperature.
Mhm.
If you have any other questions, I can answer them on option 2, but not.
Well,
option one.
okay, so then this, I don't know if they explained, like, here's the general, like, boil it down to layman's terms, what's the difference between these two? And this only affects the offices, 2 offices, not the
Correct.
whole place.
Correct, but it might have problems with the entire facility because it has a computer that operates a variable air volume.
Mhm.
So it's different than any mechanical system you've seen in a house. It has hot water heat coming from a boiler, which is up into the vents, and a computer controls the volume of air and the temperature to maintain. And if that's moved from, if you're taking the 2 offices away and building 2 more offices, you're going to have 2 offices with a limited amount of control.
Mhm. So this whole thing just affects the offices, not the whole senior center.
Well, nobody got into that other than saying that, yes, it
Yeah.
does affect the 2 offices, but I would bet that it does affect the rest of the senior center.
Well, because I'm just saying for 10 grand, if it affects the whole place, we just don't want to have a place where it feels like 80 degrees in the summertime.
Right.
So that's why I don't know what that means between good and best.
Well, if you look at Mr. Fedorchik's explanation, he did say that it would be limited cold air. Limited
Yeah, he says without the basic modification to what is there now, the computer system of no way to delivering cool air to the new offices. Therefore, we agree that the lower of the two options is necessary to provide adequate comfort to the new offices. But I'm just reading what's in front of me. I have no
Yeah.
other information.
Right. I guess I mean, I know this has to be done, but I wouldn't want to for 10 grand, if it affected the entire place. We're trying to get rentals in there and, we have older people in there and,
I would say it would not affect
okay,
the,
just the opposites.
correct.
Yeah. Okay.
It
Okay.
won't affect it adversely in the rest of the
Yeah.
building.
Okay. Okay.
So you worked with the contractor and you worked with the architect and you're satisfied with option 2 based upon.
Correct, yes.
Questions or comments? Any others from the board? From the public? Seeing none, what's the pleasure of the board?
I would move that we accept change order number 1 in the senior center.
For option,
2.
using option 2.
Oh.
Change order number 1, option 2 with
Thank you.
price of $10,997.50.
Oh, second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Any other business that we need to attend to?
No, sir.
All right, that takes us to the superintendent's report. Mr. Shin.
Thank you, Mr. Latchford. All of our sub-department staff, including the senior center, the zoo, the golf course, park maintenance, are all doing well. As always, I'm impressed with the workers' dedication. And you can see from the third quarter report that I'm sure you all reviewed, it's amazing the list of duties and projects that have been completed in just this last quarter. So I will say that to give you an update on the senior center, it will be completed towards the middle to the end of January. I will have pictures at the next meeting. Together, Mr. Latchford and Shannon Eason and I, and also with some of the golf community, are working on ideas for the capital improvements of the South Course. And I'll be reporting on some of that in the next meeting. Our maintenance department is working diligently to have the holiday lights installed by December 2nd. Is that correct, Shannon? December 2nd? So there's a deadline there with having to rent a man lift and borrowing the bucket truck from the street department. But they are working diligently doing that, and we're very successful in winterizing the facilities and their water service lines. The golf course maintenance, you can bet your bottom dollar, are working diligently on the golf course. They've been aerating the greens. They have some greens to aerate this week. The equipment is all running at an optimal rate, but you can be sure that they'll be taking this equipment apart very soon as the season comes to an end to replace bearings and so on. And they've got their work cut out for them even after the season ends. Golf manager, Mr. Marty Neiman, is doing a great job in the golf clubhouse, and you will see some final statistics on the merchandise being sold there. Everybody's doing a great job. I just want you to know that the workers and the staff and the directors are all very dedicated and are doing a great job. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shin. Questions or comments for the superintendent?
I don't have a favorite.
Any vandalism?
Mhm.
Yes, sir. The vandalism I have to report is at the bandstand in Fetters Alley. There was some script written in pen and maybe with some paint on the handrails at the bandstand.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
There are no other questions. We'll move on to the liaisons. I'm the Planning Commission liaison, and there has not been a meeting since our last meeting. Port Authority liaison is Mr. Freeze.
There hasn't been a meeting, for 3 weeks. Next week, they'll have a meeting.
Thank you. And the Zoological Society liaison is Mr. Glidden.
They also have not met since our last meeting.
Thank you. That takes us to the attorney's report. Ms.
Nothing to report, thank you.
Thank you. Any director's reports tonight? Mr. Shin?
No director's reports tonight.
All right, Department Finances, back to Mr. Glidden.
I have the claims docket for November 1st, 2023, municipal, $57,787.84. Golf petty cash, $4,891.50. Total claims, $62,679.34. I would move that we pay the claims docket November 1st.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
I,
Opposed? Motion carried. On payroll it is, so.
there was one payroll there that I signed. Sorry.
We got ahead of
Sorry, I didn't know you went to look for that. I thought it was something else. No problem.
The payroll, okay. For payroll number 21, 2023, October 1st, 23 to October 14th, 2023, pay date 10/20. Approved the first day of November, the total payroll $81,979.83. I would move that we meet the payroll.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
I,
Opposed? Motion carried.
I have the gifts and donations. Lions Club Zoo donation in memory of Alice Helmkin, $685. Joseph and Lisa Gallus, a zoo donation memorial plaque on a tree, $1,000. Joseph and Lisa Gallus, zoo donation, share the care, $150. Burnham Brewery, donation pantries in the park, $100. Kroger Zoo donation give back program, $89.74. I would move that we accept these generous donations.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Minor transfers, Gulf Fund 2508.000, decrease the amount of seasonal wages, 1,000, increase the account overtime, 1,000. I would approve that we make these minor transfers.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
That's all for me.
All right, takes us to public comments. Any comments from the public? Seeing none, board comments? Comments from the board? Seeing none, our next meeting is November 15th, 5 PM right here. Motion to adjourn.
So move.